Hey, I'm doing things a little bit later this morning. My daughter woke up super early. She was up like 10 minutes after me at 5 o'clock or so. So I'm recording this a little bit later. You might hear them in the background. What I wanted to talk about this morning was ways to enjoy family. I'm a family person. That's what I'm all about in so many ways, is family and strengthening family and making sure that family works long term, not short term. You can manhandle a kid into a vehicle short term, and get somewhere you want to go. But long term, is that what you want? Do you want the relationship where it's all about power and control? And listen, I make mistakes with this all the time, so I'm not preaching at you from a standpoint of being perfect or doing things right all the time. But I'm constantly learning and growing. Constantly build your skills as a parent, as a grandparent, as an uncle, as an aunt, anyone to do with kids and family. So here's what I want to talk about today. I've got an activity around the kitchen table. Now this is going to be odd. This is going to be so weird for you to try at the beginning if you've never done anything like this. I've done this with many groups. We do this with our family all the time. We do this when guests come over to our family and make them uncomfortable. This is what you want to do. We call it the appreciation exercise. What we do, or we call it the special plate sometimes. We've got a special bowl and a special plate at home. Yeah, so regardless of what kind of meal we're eating, we can always put them out. And whoever gets this special bowl or the special plate ends up being the focus of this exercise. The way the exercise works is whoever's the focus, people go around in a circle, and every single person talks about something they appreciate about who the person is. Not about what they do, not about some actions that they've taken, but who the person is, what they appreciate about who the person is. When you do this, you will be uncomfortable because it's not normal in our culture to talk about someone in that way where we appreciate who they are. We often thank people for what they do, or we compliment them, but we don't often say, I appreciate you because this is who you are, in your spirit, in your core. This is what I see in you, and this is what I appreciate about you. So I encourage you to do this. Go around the table. Everyone shares one thing they appreciate about who the person is. I keep repeating this because everyone makes this mistake. About who they are, not what they do, not the actions, but who they are in their spirit, in their character, and it's something wonderful about who they are. And then the end, and this is maybe the hardest part, well, it is the hardest part for most people, the end, you finish up with the person with the special plate or bowl or whatever. You don't have to have a special plate for this. And they finish off by saying something they appreciate about themselves. It's a weird thing. Let that sink in for a second. If you were in we're not talking public. If we're talking simply you sitting at a table with your family members, you saying something you appreciate about yourself, that's going to be difficult for 95, 97% of people I meet, at least. Okay? At least 19 out of 20 people are going to find that extremely difficult. Very few people are so comfortable with themselves that they can say something that they appreciate about themselves around other people. They're going nuts here. Guys, try to be a little bit quiet, okay? You're doing a really good job, right? No worries. You're not doing anything wrong. So yeah, go around the table, finish off with that person. Again, if somebody falters, if somebody tries to wiggle out of it, just remain silent. And this is a time around the table where you don't crack a bunch of jokes. We often in our culture crack jokes if we're uncomfortable. Allow yourselves to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to feel the discomfort and go, hey, listen, it's okay. It's okay that we are celebrating who we are as a family. Here's why I love this exercise. One, it teaches my kids to start appreciating, and all of us, it teaches my wife and I to start appreciating people for who they are, not what they do, not simply what they do. To look deep into themselves, deep into others, and appreciate them. Secondly, it allows us to understand how to give a sincere compliment, not insincere praise, like, oh, you look pretty today. Oh, I like your shoes. I like your hair. I like your nose. Like whatever. There's such meaningless compliments most of the time. They don't have to be, but they're meaningless compliments most of the time. When we notice about who somebody is, it hits to the core of somebody and gives a far more appreciated compliment that will hit them at their core, and they'll feel good for a long time afterwards. It doesn't last for 5 minutes. It lasts sometimes for 5 days, 5 weeks. I've had people tell me 5 months after they've done this with me, they're still commenting on it and saying, that made a big difference for me, okay? It also, lastly, makes a huge difference for the person who needs to look at themselves. It's easier to give other people compliments and talk about how wonderful they are in some way, but it's difficult to see us in ourselves. This practices self-confidence on a completely different level. If you understand self-confidence on a completely different level, it'll make a bigger difference too. You're going to start acting in confidence and caring for others in a way. You won't act defensively all the time. It'll take care of so many emotions in your life. This has so many far-reaching consequences that I could go on and it wouldn't do it justice, all right? So here's the challenge for you. Now, listen, start with your family, okay? Maybe your family is an unsafe place for you, and that's okay. If it's like the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of you, however many people are at home. If it's yourself, get together with a group of friends. Go do it with extended family. Here's the way I've done it. Often when I do, Ken and I have a joint business where we will go out with a group of usually about 6 to 8 clients. It's a year-long study. It costs a lot of money. It's a lot of money, but well worth it for the people who join. And what we do is in the initial weekend when we're teaching and growing people, we help them by doing this exercise. Usually we'll use like a chipped plate. I'm giving it away here. We usually will use a chipped plate or something. One meal, nobody knows about it, and we'll say, look, everyone look at your plates. Whoever has the chip plate, you're going to be doing this exercise. You're going to be the focus of this. And we do it. Now these are with basically strangers. We haven't gotten to know each other crazy amounts yet, and we give sincere compliments. Here are my reactions, both in my family when we've had guests over, extended family, as well as with my clients. When we've done this, the typical experience is that tears come to people's eyes. People are nervous about this. People crack jokes about it. And yet what ends up happening every single time so far, every single time, has been a really meaningful experience. Try this out. Try it in a group that you feel safe with, and then let me know how it goes. When you share things on here, it's a beautiful thing to share it with others. By the way, where did I get the idea from this? Sometimes people ask me where I got the idea. I got this idea from my mom. My mom tried to introduce this to our family years ago when we were kids. Unfortunately, she had a husband and 3 boys and 1 daughter who was very male-dominated in a traditional male way that didn't really feel comfortable with that. So we shot it down, and my mom tried starting it up a couple times, never worked. Try this at birthdays. Try this at celebrations. When we do the special plate, anyone can bring the special plate at any time and give it to anyone, and we practice it that way. But try this out, and like I said, let me know how it goes.